What is going on, guys? It has been, I think, 3 weeks or so since I've done a video. Let me get back into the light a little bit. It's been about 3 weeks since I did a video, and this is a little bit of a special video just because it is October, what? 12th. And in just 4 short days, Julie and I are getting married. And we're finally tying the knot. It's been a long journey of just getting stuff ready, getting the truck ready, shipped out, which, as you could tell in the driveway, we don't have the truck. And we're going to get to that. And we have the Fiesta still, obviously. And the Mustang is still here. But there's been a lot that's been going on since my last video. I think my last video was the catch can video. So it's been a little bit of time. It has been a hot minute, and I was working on the truck for quite a while, getting it ready to ship out. Ran out of time to really clean certain things up, but I think I had it to the point to where I was super happy with it to get it shipped. Now, the day before the truck shipped out, this happened. So as you can see, if that focuses on the camera, I cut my left index finger tendon, both tendons, tendies, my little tendies inside my finger. I swiped them clean with this Gerber knife, and that Gerber knife was a knife that I had just bought like a week beforehand, just because I wanted to keep a smaller knife on me, and it was credit card size, and you just swipe the blade out really quick. How did I cut myself?
You're being dumb.
I've been asked that question quite a lot. And it was a bike lock just like this. Had zip ties on the left and right side. And I went to hold down the left side of the bike lock with one hand. And with the right hand, I slid the Gerber knife into the zip tie underneath it. And I went to try to pop the zip tie. The way the blade is, it didn't really have I didn't have a lot of leverage to kind of twist the blade up to pop the zip tie. So right before I did it, I was thinking to myself, why don't I just grab the wire snips, like not even 5 feet away? Let me just grab those to cut the zip tie. Nope. I decided to pull towards my left hand and kind of just try to pop it that way, and it slipped out of the zip tie, swiped my finger clean, and a little bit of a gore warning. Here is that picture of my finger sliced open. Now, if you take a look at that picture, it looks like a clean cut. Most general people would say, well, you just kind of cut the muscle a little bit and you're good to go. Well, when I went to the ER, well, before I get to that, right when I swiped it, I heard a squirt. And it was like a cartoonish squirt. Like a fake, if you were watching a movie, that type of squirt. And I looked down, and I was kind of in shock when it happened. It didn't hurt. It felt like a paper cut. But when I heard that, I immediately applied pressure to my finger and ran inside. Well, I told Julie, I was like, what did I say?
You cut yourself, and you've cut yourself plenty of times before and acted like a baby. So I just figured it was just like a normal cut. But as soon as I was like, let me see, and you open it up, and I just see blood gushing, and you can see like...
Oh, tissue.
It was deep.
It was very deep. Ran inside, grabbed some of the medical. I asked Julie to grab some of the medical gear, and that's another thing too. She wasn't really prepared. She doesn't really know of any of the medical gear that's on the truck, so it was difficult for her. She wasn't really educated on like what to grab and what to bring out, which is fine.
Just grabbed everything.
She just grabbed everything, and I told her to grab the gauze. And at one point, we were just like, screw it, let's just go to the emergency room, because I knew this was definitely not a Band-Aid repair. So we get to the emergency room. This is what the finger looked like in the emergency room. Long story short, the ER doctor I asked her, I was like, well, I can't bend my finger. So obviously most people that are probably watching this video aren't really familiar with like flexor tendons and extensor tendons. So flexor tendons are the tendons that go on the underside of your finger that allow you to kind of pull the trigger. Extensor tendons are the ones that allow you to kind of push it back. So I cut the flexor ones clean. So my finger was stuck straight, and they sewed me up, they stitched me up, and I went back home, and here's what it looked like stitched up, and I thought that was it. I was like, well, this sucks, but I'll get my stitches out next week and we'll be good to go. That wasn't the case. By day 6, I personally felt like something was wrong. The pain was kind of going away, but I was still unable to bend my finger. And, you know, I game a lot, and WASD is like the staple of my left hand. So I would try to play certain games, and I could not push down the D key. So that kind of freaked me out because I knew Battlefield 2042 was coming out, the beta. So I was like, all right, I couldn't touch the D. So I called the orthopedist the next day, got an appointment in, went right in. Within 5 minutes, they told me that my tendons were severed and they need to get me into surgery right away. So this was what, a week and a half ago? 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
About 2 weeks ago. So think about the stress that we're under. One, the truck had shipped out the next day. We had sent the truck off after the day after this happened.
I had to pack the truck myself.
She had to pretty much pack the truck herself because my hand was unusable for the most part. And a week had gone by, and we're just stressed with like preparing for the wedding and everything. And then I found out that I had to get surgery, and I texted Julie. I was like, I gotta have surgery Monday. So that added another layer of like crazy amount of stress. Not only did we ship our truck, not only are we getting ready for the wedding, but we got to pack and get ready. We got to make sure, like, it's just a boatload of stuff that we had to get done. And now I threw on her that I had to get surgery.
And add on recovery. So you got to think about it. Our honeymoon is revolving around camping and using your hands to pull the tent down, pull boxes out. Like,
so we're looking up like recovery times for flexor tendon repairs, and like we're seeing stuff like it's going to be months before. Supposedly they say that like it's months before you get your full strength back, which is correct. I'm actually holding the camera with my left hand, and I'm kind of bending it in a certain way. I shouldn't be bending it, but I'm not doing anything crazy with the hand. But anyways, not to get off track, but yeah, we went into surgery that Monday. And it was, for me, it was just like kind of nerve-wracking because I've never personally had surgery for anything outside of like wisdom teeth. I've never been put under for anything outside of wisdom teeth. So I was nervous myself. I was really stressed. You know, the truck had arrived safely and got out of surgery just fine. Take a look at the awful, awful bandage that I had to wear. And that thing was horrible because they put your hand in, they fill your hand with gauze, and then they kind of get your hand like this, and then they wrap it pretty tight. And then they put like a splint to keep your hand like this so that you don't do an extensor pull like that and then snap the repair. So that's another thing. Your tendons, since they severed the tendons or since I severed the tendons and they had to stitch it back together, it's possible if I do anything crazy like this or pull it on something or grab something heavy, it's possible that repair might snap. And if that repair snaps, I have to go back into surgery, and they probably have to snip the ends of the tendon, and my finger's going to be permanently like crooked. So been super careful. I've been super mindful of everything. But anyways, that first week was absolutely horrible as far as pain. I didn't take any narcotics that they provided. I pretty much just took like regular pain relievers, and I just rested for the first 2 days. My main thought process was, I've got to get myself ready for the wedding, which it was 2 weeks ago when I had the surgery, right? Yeah. But it was about 2 weeks ago when I had the surgery. So I was like, I really need to focus on the next 2 weeks to rest, to do my physical therapy when they say it. And now we're coming up to tomorrow. See if I can show you guys. They're going to remove the stitches. Now, remember when I said my finger was like stuck straight completely? I now have a regular cascade. So like if you hold your hand, this is kind of like the way your hand sits. I can bend it down. So I'm getting movement back into my finger. Makes me super happy. I don't really have it. I have like a dull pain in my hand, but it's not terrible. It's manageable. I think a lot of the little bit of pain is like the stitches kind of poking certain things. So that comes out tomorrow. It is October 12th. It's Tuesday night. I wanted to get this video out, but I'm good to go. The wedding is in 4 days. we're pretty much ready. We got a few little things to take care
I
of.
don't feel like I'm ready.
But guys, we paid for this wedding pretty much all ourselves. Like I would say 95% of it was paid.
99%.
99% of it was paid for. It was just me and her. Like no, none of our our parents helped us out a little with some little things, but like you know how most times the daughters or the woman or the bride, yes, that the bride's family usually covers all of it, and that's just the traditional thing. But obviously, everyone's situation is different. So we managed, and we managed to still, I think, have fun. Like we still managed to have fun, to do things.
We went on trips and camping.
Yeah, we went to Cape Lookout for my birthday.
Twice.
Yeah, so we still managed. It was tough, but I'm the one that convinced her to have the wedding. She wanted to elope. And I said, screw it. Let's try to tough through it. Let's try to get this wedding done. We're going to regret it, I think, if we don't do it. We only have one shot at it, so let's do it. So anyways, enough about the wedding.
Wow.
Enough about the wedding. Wow. We've been talking about it a lot, just in person. So I'm kind of worn out from it. I know she is. But if you've been following my social media, my truck has been at APG for 2 weeks currently. I think it's now this week is like the second week or the third week. This is probably the third week.
Got there on September 20th. So
yeah.
3 weeks.
So you guys remember my lighting video? That was actually my last video, the lighting video. So I used the wireless Blazer box. Truck arrived at APG. Stayed for 2 weeks. Didn't really move around much, and the battery died. And that's where the problems kind of began for us. The truck had been fine here. We never had any issues with the truck. I did my wiring a week and a half or so ahead of time before the truck shipped so that I could test it. I did all the wiring as best as I could with the time that I had, and everything was fused. You guys saw the last video where I used that Blazer box for the wireless setup. Now with the wireless setup, the battery it does pull some power. With just like any other wireless Switch Pro system, it has to stay on to receive that signal. So, I mean, I kind of know a little bit about this stuff just because I've done some electrical stuff in the past. I've been in IT. I've been working on computers for about 20 years now. So I know that certain things need power to receive that wireless signal. And a few months ago, I started noticing like a battery indicator on our touch screen saying that like it's shutting the system down to avoid overusage of the battery. Well, we had shipped the truck, and I guess I should have noticed that, and the battery died. And when they went to go charge the battery, something happened, and the battery started smoking. And something popped, and there was smoke. And I'm assuming there was so much smoke that it found its way into like the firewall, some sort of a vent, and it looked like it was coming from inside the cabin. And that was a big problem. Owner called me, and we were just kind of freaking out. We were like, well, the battery wouldn't accept the charge. They were kind and gracious enough to replace the battery for me. Hashtag not sponsored. I'm still paying for the battery. It's an expensive OEM battery. Anyways, they put a new OEM battery in, cranked it up, and there was still an issue, still a fault with the power steering. So I kind of go into a little bit of a panic mode because this was last week.
This was Tuesday or Wednesday of last week.
Tuesday or Wednesday of last week, and we're like, well, crap. We fly out next weekend right after the wedding, the day after, to go to pick up our truck and do this 3,000 mile plus trip in the truck. It needs to be working well. Long story short, no pun intended, short. They had thought that there was some sort of a short in my electrical system that was causing the battery to smoke when they went to go charge it. Fair enough. Like that's just one thing. I've always heard of like overcharging causing battery swelling, but not an actual short in some accessory system causing a battery to pop. I've never personally seen it in 30 years or 28 years of automotive. I've never seen that personally, but hey, shit can happen. So they had helped me out, and they went and looked at all the wiring in the truck, and they found some issues with my wiring. Simple stuff that could be fixed, nothing crazy, but they had pulled a lot of my accessories. They disconnected it just to, you know, rule out any sort of issue with any of my stuff that was causing the problem. They put a new battery in without any of my accessories plugged in, and it was working fine except for the power steering. So fast forward a couple days later, I guess they had tried troubleshooting more. They couldn't find any issues with my wiring. We were like, well, it's under warranty. We got to get it towed to the dealership. Lucky enough for me, when I posted up my issue, someone from Ken Grody Ford, shout out to Ken Grody Ford, one of the service writers that works there at the dealership, DM'd me on Instagram the weekend I had posted that. And we were kind of in a limbo state on Friday evening. We weren't sure what was happening to the truck. We weren't sure if it was getting towed maybe on Monday or what was happening. So I was kind of wanting to try to figure things out myself, get someone to help out. And I was like, man, we've been on Instagram for a while. There's got to be somebody out there that can throw us a bone and help us. Because one of the big concerns was taking it to a dealership and someone seeing at the dealership and being like, oh, well, his warranty is now null and void because of how modified it is. It is California after all. But lucky enough for me, so a service writer messaged me on Instagram, was like, hey, bud, I might be able to try to get you someone out there this weekend. And I told him, I was like, dude, thanks, but unfortunately, I don't think APG is open on the weekend. And I wasn't going to bother any tech or the boss out there. So I was like, they seemed a little irritated at the situation. So I didn't really want to aggravate that situation anymore. So I kind of stopped messaging. Even though I probably could have, I was in every right that I could have kept messaging. But anyways, the service tech messaged me and was like, hey, first thing Monday morning, let's get this sucker in, and we'll take a look at it. And it turned out, so APG was kind enough to drive it for me. I didn't incur a tow fee, so I'm super thankful to them. The owner drove it to the Ford dealership, and it turned out to be something simple. And I was telling Julie, I was like, it's got to be something simple or it's got to be something catastrophic. And thank goodness it was something simple. The number 19 tap fuse under the breaker box was missing completely. And we found out, Julie actually found out later on. We were watching the install video for the Morimoto install video, and Morimoto for the DRL taps into fuse number 19 on the breaker box. Problem solved. Which is the power steering. So there's a little bit of like, you know, well, why would they tap into power steering, that fuse? LED DRL is probably not going to draw that much power anyways, so it's probably fine. But yeah, they probably could tap into something else. And that's something that probably should be brought up to them. But there's plenty of people with Morimotos that don't have any issues. So it's like, if it isn't broken, why fix it? But anyways, not to get into like a debate over of should you tap into this, should you tap into that. It was a simple fix. Mistakes happen. Like, I'm not mad at APG for it. Like, everyone makes mistakes. Nobody is perfect. No shop ever we've worked with has been perfect. And that's the one thing you guys got to understand, right? At the end of the day, it's fixed. There's no issues. And yeah, could things have been done differently on maybe both parts? Yeah, I could have maybe done something a little different on the wiring. They could have been more thorough on what fuse that they pulled. I think both sides, we all kind of learn from the experience and move on. And this video is already at 20 minutes. So I'm going to try to wrap this up. Yeah, okay. I've been talking a lot. So what I want to ask you, if you've lasted this long into the video, leave a comment below. I'm really curious still, like, who watches all this stuff? Me rambling. You probably put it on the background, but leave a comment below. I want to know if you guys want me to vlog any of our trip, because we are going from the Los Angeles area and we're going up to the Redwood National Forest, stopping there, and then taking the Pacific coast up to Oregon where Julie's sister lives. So that's going to be kind of our home camp. We're probably going to stop by Bend, Oregon. We're gonna go hit up some spots. We're going to do some exploring, have some fun for a few days, and then we're going to head to Glacier National Park for a few days. And then we're going to hightail it to Badlands for one day, and then we're going to stay there at Badlands for one day and one night, just because we only have 2 weeks and we got to travel 3,000 miles. So we're going to stay at Badlands for one day, one night, and then we're going to take a 16-hour drive to Memphis so that we only have a 5-hour drive on Saturday. I'm off Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, so
I'm not.
She's not. I've got 3 extra days to recover, relax some more.
So you're going to drive the extra time on the 16 hours.
We'll see. But I just want to get this video out here. Like I said, if you lasted this long, leave a comment below if you'd like to see. Comment on anything I talked about in this video, but leave a comment. Let me know if you'd like to see some of the adventures. And it's not going to be like crazy, like Story Till Now or anything. Like we don't have like a camera crew or anything like that. So leave a comment below. If you want to see some of the video clips of our adventure, let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.